This is Chef Walter Staib. Today I'm cooking with superfoods. Superfoods are ingredients that have been scientifically proven to improve your health and in many instances reverse illnesses. They're easy to find and use and delicious. My recipes are fast, easy and heart healthy. Eating well is not about avoiding foods, it's about eating the right foods. So join me in cooking with superfoods. In today's show, I'm celebrating tomatoes. And tomatoes is something that absolutely everybody likes, everybody's got to have it. And thanks to Thomas Jefferson, we're actually enjoying it. He's the one that forced it up the American people when he was president, the third president of the United States in the White House. Without further ado, I'm going to tell you what I'm making today. I'm making one of my greatest dish that I ever made, which is a quiche. I'm going to show you how it's done. It's a little complicated, but bear with me. I'm doing a corn tomato relish and a very simple but very tasty tomato basil salad. To start off though, I want to get first the corn on the grill. Now obviously, depending what time of year you watch the show, fresh corn is obviously much better. This happens to be fresh corn, but it's not what I consider a real dynamite Jersey corn. It's still good though. I'm going to on the grill and I'm just going to have a small fire on there because what I want to do is I want to get the liquid out of the corn and have a little slight caramelization. And the reason I'm doing that is so I have more flavor. All I do is a little cooking spray like that. Obviously it's nice to do if you have it in your own backyard, have it in your barbecue grill, don't have to worry about it. And obviously, as you already noticed, there's something missing on my set. What is it? There's no salt, no butter. We make everything here flavorful by using natural other ingredients, such as spices and herbs. Let me get started quick with the spinach. The spinach that you need and the onions that you need for the quiche has to be sauteed. And the reason for that is because if you don't saute it, too much water in there and it would ruin this quiche. So the onions, all we do is you're going to slice it down just like a quick slice like so. And all you want to do with the onions, get a little glaze to it. You don't have to brown them. You want no color to it. Just a little bit like that. So I put a little bit of olive oil in here. And olive oil, again, is another superfood that we use exclusively. Put the onion in here. There's a little glaze on it. I got a little bit more oil over here. I'm going to chop down a little bit of garlic. Just a clove or two. And the reason you got to do that because spinach is solid water. Obviously, if you would put the spinach into your quiche, it would ruin you completely. So here we go. And the garlic for that, chop it coarse. Just a rough chop. Just like so. Rough chop garlic. Throw it in the pan and put the spinach right on top. Spinach doesn't take any time at all to wilt down, as you know. My corn is already making a little noise over here. I want to make sure I don't burn it. But I want to get a nice caramelization going on it. Onions are almost ready to go. The onions I'm going to shut down already. It's already done. I just want a little bit of glaze on it. Now comes the real pièce de résistance. And this is my phyllo laid out baking dish. When you use phyllo, you'd always want to keep it very, very, very moist. And the reason for that is because, as you know, phyllo dough is very, very delicate. So delicate that if you don't immediately put a towel on it, it's going to be very tough for you to use. And I'm using phyllo because it's low in fat. So you could use puff dough, but it wouldn't do the trick. The spinach, all you want to do, hit it with a little bit of pepper. You got to bring the flavor out with pepper and other spices. Put the onions in the bottom of the dish. I have red peppers that I'm just going to slice, just like so. And lay it right across. You don't have to organize that. It can be unorthodox. Just lay it in the bottom. The flavor comes with it. Mushrooms, same thing. All right. Mushroom dish. The spinach is ready to roll. And you just want to get the spinach wilted. Here, just like this you want it. No more, no less. And you see there's no water in there. When you make the spinach, use a big skillet like I have here, so that the water comes out of the spinach, evaporates completely. See that? Just perfect like that. And spinach obviously is a superfood. A lot of vitamin C, a lot of fiber. There's a lot of iron in there. Now comes the real important part. Smoked salmon. Smoked salmon in this dish just absolutely takes it over the edge. So you put the smoked salmon right in there over it. This happens to be True North smoked salmon, one of the finest that I've ever tasted as of late. And salmon is a superfood and obviously works extremely well. So I get the salmon over here. Now I got tomato. I take just plum tomatoes and I'm just going to slice them and lay them on top. Now, you can also chop them and throw them in there. But for this recipe, it's much more prettier if you can see it. Let me get the ricotta cheese first in there. So ricotta cheese. It's low-fat ricotta instead of cream. Now, many quiche recipes, you know, use heavy cream. We don't want to do that because heavy cream, obviously, too many calories and not good for you. So you're just going to kind of coat it like so. A little bit more. Here we go. And now I want to get a good amount of pepper on that for extra flavor. Okay. And now comes the tomato. So all I'm going to do, and I like plum tomatoes because they're firmer, less acidity in it, and it just makes it really pretty on top of it. So the way you do it is you lay them out just like so. Tomatoes are really high on potassium and vitamin B6, so they are very good for you. And actually, tomatoes are good for you in any form. Sun-dried tomatoes, cooked tomatoes, they don't lose their vitamins. Anywhere you want to use them. Then comes the important part. Now today, you can use eggs. Keeping it heart healthy, egg beater works extremely well. The egg beater right on top. And now I have a nice Parmesan cheese on the top, very light on the cheese. Somebody asked me if cheese is healthy in moderation. Surely it is. When you buy cheeses, look for aged cheeses because there is more flavor and you can use less. Use in moderation. Ready to go. All you got to do, if you have the filo, I would recommend that you squeeze it on the side, like in there, like so. Stick it in as a little rim on the side. Much lower carbohydrates this way. Here we go. And now all I got to do is stick in the oven. It takes about 25 minutes. So obviously I have one already cooked that we're going to experiment in a little bit later. You make this recipe and you serve it to your family next time, you're going to be the star. Now we're going to do something that's even more fun, if there's such a thing, as the quiche, which is my corn relish. And I do a lot of that. I do it spicy corn relish. I do all kind of corn relishes because I just enjoy it. So what you're going to do, have a little caramelization on the corn like you see me doing there. It doesn't take much because this is really sweet corn and cooks rather fast. All you want to do is take the corn off the husk. Now, there's two ways of doing that. One, if you want to make it real easy, you know, cut your finger, cut the corn in half, stand it down like that, and just go down. That's the easiest way to do it. Cut it down on the side. Here we go. There we go, just like so. Easy. Easy does it. And what's nice about it, if you could smell the aroma of this corn, it's just unbelievable. And what it does, it's the quick amount of putting on the grill just brings the sugar out of the corn, which, because corn has a lot of natural sugar, brings it right out and enhances this flavor tremendously. People say to me, can I buy frozen corn, kernel corn? You can, but it wouldn't be the same. It just wouldn't be the same. The flavor of the corn, the caramelization, and then the other ingredients we add into it just makes it good. Here we go, that's it. Now, corn is not a superfood by any means, but it's good, and it's actually what I could consider one of America's favorite starches. Now, today, because we are talking about tomatoes, I add tomato into it. Now, in the summertime, and obviously I want to clarify something, tomatoes are the best to eat when you have beautiful, wine-ripened tomatoes. It's difficult at some times, but you still can use them, and I wouldn't say you should stay away from it. So basically what I do, I have a green pepper. I'll just cut down a little bit. into a quick dice. You know, there are hundreds of varieties of tomatoes available, including some beautiful heirloom tomatoes that have been around from the days of Thomas Jefferson. But tomatoes fresh off the vine, nothing gets really better. There's no question about it. So while we doing the show, not necessarily in the right time for the tomato, you can appreciate what the tomato will do for you. Here we go. So on the tomato itself, a lot of people also say to me, do I have to peel the tomato? Hogwash. You don't have to. Some people say you should, some people don't. Do I deseed it? Not at all. For this particular recipe, all I do is cut a nice little dice. You want the dice kind of close to it as the corn itself. Just like so. And you want to use a serrated knife for that, because you don't squeeze it, you don't break the flesh, just about like so. And you add this into it. Now, the ratio, it really depends, up to you. If you like a lot more, less, it depends. Important is the onion that goes in here, that we're going to put in there in like 2 seconds. And it's a red onion that you put in. So I have my tomato, I have a little bit of the green pepper. Now comes the red onion that you want to just cut it in a nice dice, because the flavor of the red onion is obviously something that is spectacular. And then the spiciness comes between 2 ways. If you have habaneros or just chili flakes, some cumin into it, a little bit of thyme, and you got a salad that you will never forget. So the onion, you just want to cut them. This one here, I would cut as fine as you possibly can, because this is like, you don't want the onions to be sticking out too big. So you want to there we go. Onion in here. Now comes the seasoning of it, as I mentioned. Now today, because I have some habaneros here, I want to actually be able to use them. So I'm going to put a little habanero into it. What I recommend, if you do it the first time for home, slice them like that. And the reason you want to do that is because if somebody doesn't like hot, they can identify it and fish it right back out. If you chop it really fine, it's too difficult to see, and you might have some friends if you're not happy. If you don't have habaneros, pepper flake works extremely well. Cumin, a little cumin powder, a little bit of nice thyme. Now we got to do our oil. Spicy foods will improve your mood. Trust me, take it from me. I'm always in a good mood because I eat a lot of spice. Pepper, as you already see me use on the show many times, rice vinegar is very important. Now, having said it, for my tomato salad, I'll do later, I use balsamic. But for that one here, because it's more natural and it really keeps it good with the corn, all I gotta do is mix this up quick. Quick, look at this. At this stage, I would leave it sitting in room temp. Then, like I say many times, you want to re-season everything. So you want to make sure that you get back and dry it, because no corn is ever the same. Let me see here. Wow. This corn is really sweet, beautiful. So the sweet of the corn, the acidity of the vinegar, and the spices together mixed it, an unforgettable experience, I'm telling you. Now comes the one that everybody kind of makes and everybody kind of knows. And this is our tomato basil salad. What tomato would you use? This time of year, I would use plum tomato. At the regular time, in the summertime, I would use obviously nice Jersey or other heirloom tomatoes. But this time of year, it's just a nice plum. And the reason for this is because I can slice it in a sliver. It's more presentation. The effect of the presentation is nicer. Just going to take the end off, go down like that, and literally like so. That's it. And leave the seed in it completely, because you like the little acidity in there. You can also cut it like so. Either way you want to do it, it's really no right, no wrong. And just cut it out like that. It's also very good with some mozzarella, like a caprese, mozzarella buffalo goes in there. Anything you want really works extremely well. And like I said, those plum tomatoes are my favorite that I use exclusively for my tomato sauces, to make concassé, anything, because it's has the best of flavor. It's not too acidy, and it's more fleshy. So if you wanted to take the seeds out, like some recipes will tell you, just all you do, go like that. It's really easy. And also, if you get recipes that tell you that you need a julienne of tomato, see this one, you can really julienne really good. So you find recipes that tell you that, don't be scared of it. It's very simple to do. Let's throw it in here. Voila. Now, we have some onion for that. Now this onion for in here, I would not chop fine. I would just julienne it like that. Here we go. Just cut it like that. Throw it in there. A little bit of garlic. And the garlic I would chop coarse as well. And here we go. And now comes obviously the most important that we already know. And this is the basil. Now, when I was an apprentice working in Italy, one time my chef told me, give me some basil for this particular dish. And I went there and I took the basil and I took a knife to it. And I got a kick you know where. Why? Because a lot of people, including myself, don't believe in chopping beautiful herbs like that. So what I do is I pull it. I pull the herbs like that, pull it. And there is really no ever substitute for fresh basil. Impossible. I mean, if you do them with dry, many times I use dry herbs, that works, but for that there's no substitute. Like there is no substitute for this particular recipe for balsamic vinegar. Oh yeah. All it needs is some mozzarella. Good amount of pepper one more time. Now, since we're cooking hot healthy, we stay away from the cheese, but it's nice. If nobody's watching, I have a piece of mozzarella on the side. Just kidding. All right. The other thing, if you want to make it a little spicy, which you can, make it easy with pepper flake again. Put a little pepper flake into it. It just kicks it up a little bit. You don't have to go too crazy about it, but it tastes really good. And now, mix it up. I would recommend that let it sit for a little bit. And the reason for that is, too, that the onion and the garlic, it marries itself. The flavors come together nicely. There we go. So now what we got to do is we got to double check the flavors of the corn. Make sure that this is good. If you try those recipes the first time, when you're used to cooking with salt, it's a very different approach. So when the first couple times you do it, and your guest or your family might say, hey, there's some salt missing, it can be you need a little extra work. And the extra work meaning you need the extra flavors into it. This one right now is a little weak. Well, I already have green pepper in there. I didn't put any scallion into it. So the scallion would make the difference because it's onion related. And the scallion would get some good flavor. Sometimes you don't have to, sometimes you should. So I'm going to put some scallion into it. And also I'm going to put a little bit of more red bell peppers into it, just to kick the flavors up a notch. And the reason for it is, like I said, I'm not making any excuses for not using salt, but you have to really think over what you put in. Because we cook with no salt, because salt is very dangerous for your cardiovascular system. And also, in America, unfortunately, we consume way too much salt. Everything is salted. Everything is salted. So this one over here, we're just going to do a quickie dice. It's also nice for color. One thing I find, since food appeals to the eye, it's also very important that you put a lot of sensuality into your food by using different colors and by using different flavors. And mixing the hot with the spices together will normally turns out really good. So I'm just going to chop those ones down. Very easy chop. Go like so. I'm just going to do a quick chop here. Very nice. We call this a brunoise, by the way. If you get a recipe book and it tells you to cut something in a small dice, we call it brunoise, just like that. Put it in there. Red peppers, by the way, are very, very high on antioxidants, so they're very good for you. Not just because the looks, but also it's good. So now I'm going to plate this one up, because I can't wait for my quiche that is driving me crazy behind me. So this one over here, I have a nice beautiful plate here. I got a little bit of radicchio right over here. The quiche is driving me insane because the smell of the oven is just absolutely driving me crazy. So I have a little bit of radicchio here again, just for a little color. Really good. And then put up my corn relish on top. Beautiful. The other thing is when you make presentation, look for china that is a little different. You know this, I like little plates, I like different plates. It's just a nice look to it. So there's the corn. Next I do my tomato. For the tomato, I use a little bit of frisee. Any lettuce would work. Frisee to me is just cool. Also, what happens with the frisee, it keeps extremely well. So the frisee makes it look good and keeps well. Put a little frisee on the side and then just ladle your tomato basil on top. Again here, that is, oh, give me the mozzarella, please. Here we go. So you just set it rightly nice on top. Again, presentation is half of the game. You could take those tomatoes and chop them down, unidentifiable, no good. This way, it makes it just absolutely beautiful. Put it on top. There we go. This is a great starter or just a meal, like I said, anytime, and especially in season, no question about it. Basil on top. There we go. And now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let me get my, oh. Now how is that? Oh, beautiful. This one over here, I would not plate. I would just serve it exactly like this, but I'm gonna cut a piece out of it, obviously, since I can't wait. So just put it on the, and now I'm gonna just a nice ricotta has beautifully melted into it. Let me get my little plate I have here. All right, let me recap what we did. Obviously, you already know my fantastic corn relish. And like I said, if you like some heat in it, habanero is great, but slice it. The tomato salad speaks for itself. The basil is just really, really great. You know, most people don't realize that tomatoes lower blood pressure. Full of vitamins, full of potassium. And matter of fact, everything that you see here and then some is in this quiche. So this quiche has a lot of color and a lot of flavor. Let me try my, it's definitely a superfood quiche with smoked salmon. Oh, golly. It's really, and it's, you know what? It's also very light. It's low carb, it's low fat, heart healthy, and only one more word to it. Spectacular, absolutely great. So there you have it. My tribute to tomatoes. There must be a million recipes using tomatoes, but this one over here is my contribution. I hope you watch me again on Superfoods. I'm Chef Walter Staib.